So if anybody had a question, maybe pass them to the end of the row, and Becky will come by and collect them, and I will select them. I do want to make a disclaimer, however, especially for those who might be watching on YouTube later or on the New Thought channel, that the opinions expressed here do not necessarily reflect the views of Unity or Unity Worldwide Ministries. They are simply my opinions. Just to be clear, wow, it seems like we have a lot of questions. We won't get to all of them, and I may not have a response to any of them, so this may be a very short talk today. But I thought it would be kind of fun to do something a little different and challenging for me, too, as well. So that's probably plenty. We'll never get to all of them. But what I love about this is that it gives me some things to think about and to ponder later on. So let me just shuffle them. Well, that's obviously not one I want to answer. Well, I guess I will answer that one first then. So it's when we have a loved one who is suffering and struggling, I'd like to know and be reminded of how we can best help them. I want his healing and happiness so much. That's a really good question, and I think that many of us are often faced with that when we have loved ones who are experiencing illness or have experienced a loss and are really going through pain and suffering in their own lives. How do we help them best? And I think that the best way I know to help others who are in pain or suffering and loss is to, first of all, be willing to be present with them, to not try to fix it for them, to not try to spiritualize it for them necessarily, but to be present with them in their pain, to listen to them, to give them compassion and empathy, and to hold them in your own heart, to do your best to hold the truth for them, to hold the truth for who we know that they are, and to lift them up in that awareness that this is an experience that every one of us has, and yet it does not define us. That we all move through these experiences, and we need help moving through these experiences. But when we can know the truth for each other, when we can know that we are all divine expressions of God, holding that as the truth of who we are, strengthening each other in remembering that truth, I think that's the best thing that I know to do to help move people through and to help them experience what they're going through, and to hold them in prayer as well. So that would be my response to that question. I'm sure it's a deeper question, and certainly if you would like to speak with me personally about that, I'm open to that as well. Let's see. What does divine order mean? Oh, is there such a thing as divine order? If so, what does divine order mean? You know, that's a really good question, because in Unity we use that word, that phrase, divine order, very freely. And sometimes what we say is that when something happens, we say, well, it's all in divine order. And there's confusion about that sometimes, because it depends on how you are defining divine order. Sometimes we say divine order as if we use divine order in the place of God's will. So sometimes we say, well, everything happens according to divine order, as if there is a power that is out there orchestrating everything that happens in our lives. And if we use it from that perspective, I would say that is not necessarily how Unity defines divine order. When we think about divine plan or the divine will or God's will, what we're really talking about is that each and every one of us has within us the potential to recognize our God self, our Christ self, as unity talks about it, the divine essence of who we are. And when we talk about God's will for us, what we're talking about is that the divine will, is that we come into the full recognition of who we are. And we express that uniquely as our individual selves when we talk about divine will. So we're not talking about that God has structured your life, there's predestination, and it happens because of that predestined order. Normally, what unity is really talking about when it says divine order is what we teach, that creation begins in consciousness. And so thoughts and feelings and actions produce what we experience in our lives. So the divine order is within your control. When we talk about divine order, that things happen according to divine order is always true because things happen according to how we think, how we feel, how we act. So what unity talks about, divine order, is mind, idea, and expression. It's a law of cause and effect. The cause is our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. So everything is in this, that's the way the universe is ordered. Does that help? It's like the way the universe is ordered, the way the universe works is through thoughts and feelings and actions we create and we manifest. And so that's our understanding of the way order works. And that's sort of the divine plan of order. Does that help, or is that more confusing? All right, well, let's see. Oh my goodness. What is the meaning of life? And how do we achieve it? My answer to that is the meaning of life is what you make it, right? You get to decide what your life means, and you get to make meaning from your life, because that is really what we all do. We're meaning-making machines. We make meaning of things that happen in our lives. We make meaning of things we see in our lives. We make the meaning. And so we get to choose what our life is going to mean to us. And we get to choose if our life is going to have meaning for other people as well. What we give, what we share, how we be in the world is really what creates the meaning of our lives. So if you're looking for this whole idea of a meaning for life, it's that we be the best we can possibly be. The meaning is that we accept who we are and what we are, and that we allow that light to shine in our lives, and then we make a meaningful life. That's my perspective. Okay, let's see. How can I feel the divine presence within me every moment? What specifically can I do to make this happen? When you figure that out, please let me know. I think it goes back to that idea that we talk about, or that we have this idea of praying without ceasing. And that's really what we're talking about. When we talk about prayer, what we're talking about is our minds being centered on that greater knowing, God, the universe, the source of all. And I think that there's this idea that, let's see, how would I say it? That we're in the world, but we're not of the world. We're in this earthly experience, and yet there's so much, this is such a minute aspect of who we truly are, all that we are. And so I think, for me, it's, and let me just say, I have not mastered this by any means, But the way I would say to do that is sort of recognizing every moment as much as we possibly can that we really are straddling two worlds. That we are in this world, but we also have there are aspects of us that are really not of the world. There's the spirit of us, the truth of us, the light of us, that which we truly are, that we are choosing to bring into the world, marrying the two. If you were here on Thursday night, the woman who spoke about Buddhism shared this. I loved it. She said, one hand represents our human self, our self that is in the world, so to speak, and this another hand that represents our divine self, and we're always working to bring them together. We're always working toward enlightenment or salvation or however you choose to, what word you choose to identify that. It's bringing the two together. And we do that through prayer, we do it through meditation, we do it through being present in the moment. And I think that's probably our greatest opportunity in every moment, is to maintain conscious awareness that yes, I'm in this world, and yes, there's a broader, more expansive aspect of me that is not in the world, but I can bring it through that aspect of me. So my answer to the question is, I really don't know. But being present, being in the now, paying attention, allowing for that broader perspective of who and what you truly are is the way, I think, to be aware of divine presence, because it's not separate from you, and you're not separate from it. It's simply just a way, the answer is remembrance, just to be in remembrance, that place of remembrance. Let's see, what else is here? If we are all God, everything that exists is God, why are we individual and in human form and go through everything we go through? Wow, that's a rabbit hole. Why are we individual? Why do we go through what we go through? I think there are many different ways to approach that, to answer that. I don't know that I have a definitive answer for that. I think that when we talk about why are we here, why are we in human form, if we're all God and God is the one source of all, and I do believe that, why are we here as human beings? And how I like to think about that is that we as human beings are really the leading edge of creation and evolution. We as human beings, as we teach in unity, and what we are understanding more through science, is that thought really is powerful, feeling is powerful, and our actions in this world are creative. So our thoughts, our feelings, our actions are creative in a way that disembodied spirit would not be able to achieve. So we come into this experience to evolve creation. We evolve creation, or we expand creation by connecting with that divine idea, the divine source, and through our thinking, through our feeling, and through our acting, we manifest and demonstrate in the world that which God manifests and demonstrates through us. Without us as human beings, there would not be a music stand. Without us as human beings, there would not be a piano, or drums, or chairs, or floor, or this building. Without us as human beings, there would not be all of the advances in technology that we enjoy. And so we are in human form, I think, in order to connect with the divine ideals that God is, truth and honor and wisdom and power and love and joy and peace and all of those ideas. And through our thinking, through our feeling, we are here to manifest that in the world, to demonstrate that right here and now. And I know there's an idea that we are also here to be, to have all the feelings and the thoughts and all the things that we go through so that God can experience that. There's that idea. I'm not sure about that. I really don't know the answer to that. But I think that it is important for us to recognize, and what we teach and what is so powerful about this unity teaching is that we are recognizing that we do have the power to change our thinking, to change our feeling, to act from a way that we are in alignment with the Spirit of God that we know is the truth within us, and by doing so, we are here to bring heaven to the earth. The consciousness of God and good and truth to the earth. And we do that through our thinking, through our feeling, through our acting. And so that's, for me, that would be the purpose of us being here and serving that in any way we can. So I will just one more question, and then I will keep these and ponder them as well. What did I choose? How would you describe in a few sentences what unity is all about to someone who has never heard of unity? What is unity all about? I would say that unity is about empowering the individual first to recognize the Christ within, the true light within that unity talks about as the Christ essence, the Christ Spirit. Empowering us to know that that is who we truly are and to connect with that Spirit within us. To know that we're not separate from God, to know our unity, our oneness with God, to know that we have access to all the good that God is, to know that we are created as divine, that we are created in divine blessing, not in original sin, that we have the power within us to truly create our lives from our thinking, our feeling, our acting in a way that enriches us and our lives that we desire to live, but not to stop there. To know that as we create our own lives, that we are creating in a collective, that we don't focus on just what is good for us, but what is good for the collective, for the whole. And so as we are creating our own lives, we connect with what is good for all humanity, for all the world, through all creation, and we choose to create within that awareness. And so, just in one sentence, I don't know how I would really sum that up if somebody said, what is unity about? And I would say it is truly about empowering us to claim our truth and to live that truth for ourselves and for the world. And it is our opportunity to create a world that is empowered and a world that works for everyone. And so that is my prayer and my hope that that is what unity is about.